Over the past several days, we've been getting a lot of questions from people regarding Social Security. Just the other day, we learned that the Trump administration was going to freeze federal spending, but many people asked, what does this mean for Social Security? Do we still get our monthly benefits? Well, I'm going to address that again today. But we also learned that the Social Security Fairness Act, which passed back in 2024, that was signed under former President Joe Biden, and it's going to give about 3 million people at least $360 more per month. Well, those payments might not come out for a full year. And then on top of that, are we actually hearing that President Trump is looking to abolish federal income taxes? All these things are going to play into how Social Security looks in the future. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So let's get right down to it. What is going on with Social Security? Well, here's what we know, and I want to try to make this as simple as possible, but it's a very complex plan that the Trump administration has. Right now, the Trump administration is looking at ways to reduce federal spending. If we can reduce federal spending, then we could potentially start to increase benefits for certain different programs. That could actually help Social Security. Not only that, the Trump administration has actually been talking behind scenes, and Donald Trump actually brought it forward just the other day, but talking about how it's actually doable to remove and eliminate all federal income taxes and just implement tariffs on other countries. He says there's no point to tax the American people. We need to tax the foreigners. We need to tax the other countries. That's who we need to tax. They should be the ones that are paying to access all of our resources. But here's what happened the other day. Look at this. This article from Newsweek says, did Trump freeze Social Security? There's a federal funding pause that is in effect or going into effect as of February 3rd. Initially, this federal funding pause meant all federal funding was going to be put on hold, except those that are receiving individualized payments, such as people on Social Security, Medicare, right, Medicaid, welfare, all these people, food stamps, all these people are going to continue to receive their benefits. That's the good news there. But a judge came out and ruled that no, the Trump federal funding pause could not go into effect last night on January 28th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It says, no, it's too soon. You have to wait until February 3rd. Then it can go into effect. But this has a lot of people questioning, what exactly does this mean? Does this mean if we stop funding all these different programs and agencies, does this mean more money is going to go into Social Security? Well, the answer to that is no. If the Trump administration is successful and pauses federal funding for so many different agencies, what they're going to do is go back and look and figure out which agencies don't really need any federal funding at this time. Which agencies could still be successful with the limited funding that they do have. And then they're going to realize, well, there's a lot, meaning that a lot of the money that we're bringing in through taxes may not be needed. But we could still pay down our federal deficit. We could use that money for other things, including Social Security. But it's highly unlikely that the Trump administration is just going to take money and appropriate it to Social Security without actually having that go through Congress. So again, we'll see what happens there. Here's another big thing though. The Trump administration offered more than 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. Okay? It says an email went out to the federal workforce Tuesday evening with a subject line that had ties to Elon Musk. Now, here's what you need to understand. I talked about this yesterday, did a whole video on this, where the Trump administration is asking for every single federal worker to come back to the office, work in office, don't work remotely. Based off of the recent reports that we've been receiving, about 6% of federal workers work remotely. Okay? Or only 6% of federal workers work in office. All the rest are working remotely. 6%. That's a massive number. So keep in mind, we just talked about this federal funding freeze. This goes for office buildings as well. If office buildings are not being used, the federal government doesn't want to pay for them. So that's why they're trying to get people back into the office. But here's the thing. Hey, look at this. It says President Trump's administration is offering federal workers the chance to take deferred resignation, which would mean they agree now to resign but get paid through September. It says a senior administration official told NBC News that they expect 5 to 10% of the federal workforce to quit, which they estimate could lead to around $100 billion in savings. It goes on to say, all full-time federal employees are eligible, except for members of the military, employees of the U.S. Postal Service, positions related to immigration enforcement and national security, and other jobs excluded by agencies. Keep in mind, according to reports, there's around 60,000 employees that work for the Social Security Administration. According to reports, the Social Security Administration is not one of those agencies that is exempt, meaning those 60,000 employees can take this offer, get paid for the next 33 weeks, and would then be officially resigning on September 30th, 2025. So again, they get paid and they get benefits for 33 weeks. Yeah, that could be big, but at the same time, this could actually be devastating to millions of people that are trying to claim their Social Security benefits. If they're trying to collect their benefits, and yet we see 6,000 employees decide to leave the Social Security Administration, well, that's just going to create further delays. So, that's kind of what we're hearing at this time. I do want to read you one other thing, though. Look at this right here. It says over 3 million Social Security Fairness Act beneficiaries may wait more than a year for higher payments. But why? Well, the reason for this, and this is for teachers, firefighters, police officers, okay? If you again, this is the toughest part about this. When this passed back in December of 2024 under the previous, the Biden administration, many people touted this is finally in the works. This is something that they've been waiting for. It's about time this happened. Okay, they repealed the windfall elimination provision. The GOP, they eliminated those things. Okay, which means 3 million people will receive additional benefits. Some about $360 a month, some a little over $700 a month, and some almost $1,200 a month additionally to their monthly benefits. But this is the big one. Okay? Why are they going to have to wait more than a year for higher payments? Well, it's simple. There's not enough Social Security Administration agents to actually handle this. Not only that, there is no additional money allocated to this. So the Social Security Trust Fund is going to go into a deeper deficit. We know that. About $19.6 billion per year. But not only that, this happened. Okay? This right here. The federal funding freeze. The federal funding pause. Which means that a lot of these agencies aren't going to continue to get additional funding. But then on top of that, again, that freeze, there was this. The Trump administration offering roughly 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. So already the Social Security Administration had a worker shortage, but now there's a possibility that could be extended another 6%, okay? Or another 6,000 workers, another 10%. That's troubling. But then you got this. Is Donald Trump abolishing federal income taxes? Well, if he does, tariffs will have to be extremely successful, because if he gets rid of all federal income taxes, how is money going to go into the Social Security Trust Fund? Right? How are we going to pay for things? That's the question. So at this time, a lot of people are speculating what is going on. I'm just here to give you the facts, just tell you what we know. And what we know right now is there are some major changes that are happening right now in the United States with the new administration. The new administration feels that the previous administration under President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris was abysmal, was so bad. They're now realizing how bad things were and they're trying to fix it. But we will see how successful President Trump is in fixing all the mistakes that were made over the previous administration. Right now, big changes are happening. There are many judges fighting back against it. There are lawsuits being filed. So again, as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. But that's what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.